Good morning. We are now talking about the supports of the uterus. Now, we have to understand that the supports of the uterus is very important clinically and anatomically. The supports of the uterus is obviously a very important part of the uterine anatomy, and hence we have to understand that why this support of the uterus is so extremely important. Now, to talk about the support of the uterus, we must know the clinical significance of this topic. Now, what is the uterus for? The uterus is actually a childbearing organ, a fetus bearing organ. Now, this organ is very small, almost 7.5 centimeters in length, but if we are seeing that it is, when we are seeing it having the fetus within it, it is really getting into a huge size. And when the fetus is delivered, it is delivered through the external genitalia in normal delivery. Now, we are not talking of the supports of the uterus in people who are nulliparous or who are having a C-section. We are talking of the supports of the uterus in people who are multiparous and have got uterine deliveries, like they have got more than one uterine normal deliveries. So that's where we are talking of. And in that particular scenario, supports of the uterus becomes very important. So, to talk about the supports of the uterus, we know that supports of the uterus may be divided into three factors. Number one, the position of the uterus. Number two, the integrity of the ligaments of the uterus. And number three, the integrity of the pelvic floor. So, supports of the uterus can be divided in these three ways. So, first of all, we will come to the ligaments of the uterus. First of all, the ligament, which is the cardinal ligament, we come as the support of the uterus, is the round ligament of the uterus. Now we have to know that if the uterus, what will happen if uterus is not supported? It will prolapse through the external genitalia. So if we don't want the uterus to get prolapsed through the external genitalia, then what we have to do? We have to place the uterus in such an angle that it is not in the same line with that of the external genitalia or the external canal, the birth canal. So here the role of anteversion and anteflexion comes. What is anteversion? It is the angle between the long axis of the cervix with the long axis of the vagina. If it was 180 degree, that the cervix would have been in line with vagina and prolapse would have been very easy. But nature has made this angle to be 90 degree. So the cervix is at 90 degree with that of vagina, and hence the cervix cannot directly get prolapsed. Cervix, which is the lowest part of the uterus, cannot get prolapsed through the vagina. This anteverted and anteflexed position is maintained by the round ligament of the uterus. So, where from the round ligament of the uterus comes? The round ligament of the uterus, it comes from the lateral angle of the uterus, and it is coming below and in front of the uterine tube, and from the uterine angle, the ligament passes forwards and laterally through the broad ligament. It crosses the lateral pelvic wall and enters the deep inguinal ring after winding round the lateral side of the inferior epigastric artery, and then it runs into the inguinal canal and finally splits into numerous fibrous septa, which is attached to the subcutaneous tissue of the labia majora. So ultimately it is like the string which is attached from the cornu of the uterus to the labia majors. So it is actually helping in the forward bend of the uterus and thus maintaining the angle of anteversion. So it is coming from the lateral angle of the uterus, it's a content of the broad ligament of the uterus, then it is coming through the deep lateral pelvic wall, negotiating through the deep inguinal ring, it's a content of the inguinal canal, leaves the inguinal canal through the superficial inguinal ring, and then it is dividing into septa and getting anchored at the labia majors. So functionally, it pulls the fundus forwards and maintains the anteversion and anteflexion of the uterus. So this is the first point. Second is the McInrod's ligament. Second is the McInrod's ligament. So this McInrod's ligament is a fan-shaped fibromuscular band which is derived from condensation of the parametric tissue of the pelvic cavity. It extends from the cervico-vaginal junction to the lateral pelvic wall, covering the levator ani muscle. So this is the cervico-vaginal junction, it goes to the lateral pelvic wall and it covers the levator ani muscle. The ligament is related obviously to the crossing of the ureter and the urinary and the uterine artery, and this ligament is known as the cardinal ligament of the uterus because it keeps the cervix in position and prevents the downward displacement of the uterus through the vagina. Tightening of the McInrod's ligament is commonly employed in surgical repair of the prolapse of the uterus. The third ligament is the uterosacral ligament. The third ligament is the uterosacral ligament. So each ligament extends from the cervix to the third sacral vertebra like a hammock. And so in these three ligaments we find, so this is the third ligament, and the fourth ligament is the pubocervical ligament. It's a pair of thin fibrous band which extends from the cervix to the pubic bones along with the inferior and lateral surface of the urinary bladder. So apart from the round ligament of the uterus, which is developmentally the remnant of the gubernaculum of the ovary, what we can find that this uterus is placed within the pelvic cavity. And what is the packing material? As if we are taking a fragile thing in a big box. So how do we keep that fragile thing in position? We keep that fragile thing in position by packing that box with some packing material like thermocol, like straw, like that. So uterus is here the fragile thing and pelvic cavity is the box. So if we are going to keep the uterus in position, then we have to pack the rest of the empty spaces of this pelvic cavity with certain straw or thermocol. This straw and thermocol is the parametric fat. Now what happens? Some positions the parametric fat is condensed on itself to form strong ligaments. So uterosacral ligaments, McInrod's ligament, pubocervical ligaments, these three ligaments are the three cardinal condensation of this parametric tissue which are supporting uterus sidewise as in McInrod's ligament, anteriorly as in pubocervical ligament, posteriorly as in uterosacral ligament. The false ligaments of the uterus, which are known as the peritoneal folds, these peritoneal folds does not really give a lot of support to the uterus. These are mainly the peritoneal folds that are reflections of the uterus. The false ligaments are the uterovesical fold, rectovaginal fold, rectouterine fold, So these are the parts of the false ligaments of the uterus. Again, the important thing in case of that uterosacral ligament is that the uterosacral ligament pulls the uterus from behind. So it actually prevents excessive anteversion. So supports of the uterus include a number of independent factors which prevent the prolapse of the or downward displacement of the uterus through the vagina. So on a functional analysis, we will find that 4 factors are important. Number 1, muscle. Number 2, ligaments. Number 3, viscera. Number 4, loose packing material. So we have already talked about the ligaments. We have talked about the loose packing material. So now we will talk about the muscle. So the muscle, which is the cardinal thing, the cardinal muscle which is important for the support of the uterus, is the levator ani. What is the levator ani muscle? Levator ani muscle is found in the lateral pelvic wall, and it is the muscle of the pelvic diaphragm, and it shoulder the maximum brunt in the supportive role of the uterus. The pubo-vaginalis part of the levator ani converges towards the perineal body. The pubo-vaginalis part of the levator ani converges towards the perineal body and narrows the hiatus urogenitalis through which the urethra and the vagina traverse. Therefore, it constricts the vagina from the sides and prevents the tendency of the descent of the uterus. So, the pubo-vaginalis part is actually constricting the hiatus urogenitalis. The puborectal sling of the levator ani maintains the forward curvature of the anorectal sling. It maintains the puborectal sling, it maintains the forward curvature of the anorectal flexure, upon which the sloping posterior wall of the vagina rests. Let's say this is the rectum, and on which this posterior wall of the vagina is resting. So, if this forward curvature is maintained in the anorectal flexure, then the posterior wall of the vagina is supported. Posterior wall of vagina supports the tip of the cervix of the anteverted uterus. So, if the puborectal sling is damaged, the anorectal angulation is damaged, and hence the posterior vaginal wall drops. So, if the angulation is lost, the posterior vaginal wall will drop due to lack of support, and eventually it will not support the tip of the cervix, and hence it will just let the uterus prolapse. The perineal body is a pyramidal shaped fibromuscular node which intervenes between the vaginal and the anal orifices. It receives the attachments of various perineal muscles including the levator ani and maintains the integrity of the pelvic floor. So, if the perineal body is damaged, then the integrity of the pelvic floor is damaged and the hiatus urogenitalis become enlarged, the vagina dilates and the uterus descends. We have already talked about the ligamentous support. About the visceral support, the slanting posterior wall of the vagina directly receives the load of the uterus in anteverted position. And the anorectal flexion, as I already mentioned, supports the tip of the cervix indirectly by supporting the posterior vaginal wall. The anorectal flexure is again maintained by the puborectal sling of the levator ani. The upper surface of the urinary bladder acts as a platform upon which the body of the anteverted uterus rests. So, the visceral support will be done by the rectum by the maintenance of the anorectal sling and the upper surface of the urinary bladder, which acts as a platform on which the anteverted uterus rests. So these are the parts, these are the various things of the supports of the uterus, and this is something which is really important as a long question and also will be important for you in your gynecological outdoors and when you are going to read gynae in your 7th and 8th semesters. Thank you.